The ultimate battle between our heroes and Super Perfect Cell has now reached its climax, and after losing his son Gohan to the hands of Perfect Cell, Goku is now looking to lay down his life to protect the planet he loves and all of the people he cares about on it, as on the previous chapters we saw how Super Saiyan 2 Goku was punishing Perfect Cell, torturing him for killing his son, but now with Cell coming back even stronger than before, Goku is left with no other choice than to fight his heart out, as this is the end of the Cell games. The final battle between Goku and Cell that will not only determine which one of the two is the strongest, but also determine the fate of the entire universe itself as well, created by author Rising Fist. As once more before we begin, if you are new to this channel and have a love and passion for all things Dragon Ball and anime related, then be sure to go on ahead and smash that subscribe button and turn on all notifications by clicking on the bell icon to never miss a single upload. And if you guys love and enjoy Dragon Ball and cannot wait to see more, then be sure to go on ahead and slap a big fat like down below by giving this video a big thumbs up, along with checking out the official Dragon Ball fan mangas playlist located down in the description box below, to where there you will be able to find all the latest and best Dragon Ball fan mangas created by the community for the community. So be sure to take a minute to go on ahead and check that playlist out located down below, as we kick off the Beyond Dragon Ball Z Rise manga chapter finale special, with Perfect Cell having to finally come back after being destroyed by Goku at the time, very eerily similar to the events that have occurred in the original Dragon Ball Z show, with Cell having to come back from the dead yet again, with Goku having to stand there reverting back to his base form, observing Perfect Cell having to come back. As Cell goes on to laugh, Goku went along to comment, "You monster! You're supposed to be dead! How the hell did you come back?" As Perfect Cell then goes on to explain, "You see, Goku, even if I'm reduced to nothing more than a single living cell, I will always come back. This body of mine truly is perfection. I cannot be defeated. It is simply impossible," basically telling Goku that, hey, you can't defeat me even no matter how hard you try, it's still meaningless by the end. As Perfect Cell then goes on to continue, "Even if I am brought to the brink of extinction, my Saiyan cells will bring me back even more powerful than before. So you see, I am invincible." And with the thought of Perfect Cell having to come back even stronger than before, triggers Goku into going from base all the way back to Super Saiyan 2, in which I want to give the creator Paul, also known as Rising Fist, huge props for the coloring done for this manga chapter, because if you pay close attention and look at the little details for this fan manga, this has to be some of the best coloring I've seen be done in any fan manga thus far. And with Goku then having to reactivate Super Saiyan 2, Goku then went along to ask, "Invincible? Don't make me laugh. All I have to do is make sure there's nothing left when I destroy you." But this time around, unlike how we've seen before, Cell doesn't seem to be concerned at all, because instead, Cell welcomes this challenge, as he goes on to laugh at Goku's face by telling him, "You are most welcome to try," basically telling Goku, hey, no matter how hard you try, you could never defeat me. As Goku then goes on to state, "I've got to steer the battle away from here. Vegeta, his ki is faint, but he's still there. Way to stay alive, tough guy." And with Vegeta having to be shown basically knocked out on the floor, Goku continues, "I think I've got it. That just might work. Here goes! Solar Flare!" And with Goku then having to use Solar Flare, Cell closes his eyes, but he doesn't seem to be bothered at all, because Cell then goes on to comment, "Oh, I see what you're doing. Very well. I'll play along." And with Goku quickly then using instant transmission, we then observe how Goku used the Solar Flare on top of instant transmission to simply get Cell away from the original battlefield where everyone was, in bringing him to another location, as of course the minute they arrive, Cell goes on to state, "And now that our location has been chosen," he then proceeds to grab Goku by the same hand that he used to get him to use instant transmission, and then wildly enough swings Goku forward in slamming him directly down onto the ground. As Cell continues, "Let us commence our final battle." And again, the coloring, the shading, all of this looks amazing, and thus far for me is very captivating when looking at the attention to detail, as Cell slammed Goku with such force down onto the ground that literally the landscape around them is beginning to shake. And in typical Cell fashion, he then crosses his arms as he goes on ahead to ask Goku, "What's wrong, Goku? I thought you were raring to go." As Goku then sticks his hand out, he unleashes a massive energy blast that literally consumes Perfect Cell, as one would assume that this would have been it, or at least had done some type of damage to Cell, considering the fact that Goku is using Super Saiyan 2, but instead, Cell quickly was able to block off the attack as he went along to state, "Weak attacks like that will never hurt me." As quickly then Goku teleports behind Cell, he proceeds to hammer strike Cell in the back of the neck, causing Cell to go flying down onto the ground, which I will say is giving Goku the upper hand in this situation, because to where Cell can't even follow, I think that's giving Goku the advantage in this fight, as Cell is shown turning his head with his eyes having to be bloodshot. He then goes on to cry out, "You insolent worm!" as he then proceeds to retaliate back by punching Goku in the face, followed by kneeing him directly in the stomach. And as Cell knees Goku with Goku having to cough blood, he goes on to tell him, "Know your place." And Goku is clearly shown having to struggle with his eyes having to be bloodshot red, he's bleeding, and based on the way this fight is going, it would also appear that Goku to some extent is losing a bit of stamina while he's trying to maintain Super Saiyan 2. As only then we go back to Kame's lookout, as the narration goes on to state, meanwhile, Piccolo and Trunks have taken Gohan's body and the other injured Z fighters to Kame's lookout. Once there, Krillin, Tien, and Yamcha are each given a Senzu Bean. Sensing the desperate battle below, the recovered team quickly disperses to gather the Dragon Balls. Now with all 7 Dragon Balls gathered, Shenron is summoned once again. As Shenron is shown having to finally appear above Kame's lookout, Shenron goes on to ask that wish, "It shall be granted." As immediately right then and there we observe how an individual is beginning to open his eyes, as a voice cries out, "Gohan! Gohan! Be quiet, Krillin! I'm sorry, Piccolo, but he's still not getting up." As at long last, the once dead Gohan has finally been brought back to life. As the Z fighters around Gohan go on to state, "Let Shenron do his work. Gohan will awaken shortly." And with Gohan then having to be shown opening his eyes, everybody, Trunks, Tien, Piccolo, Krillin, Dende, Mr. Popo, they're all beginning to shed tears, because the little boy that had once died on the battlefield by the hands of Cell had now been finally brought back to life. As Dende goes on to cry out, "Ah, Gohan! Thank goodness!" And with Krillin having tears in his eyes, he then went along to state, "He's back, guys! He's back! He's back!" And with Gohan having to be shown smiling for a brief moment, he quickly sits back up in worry as he goes on to comment, I was dead. I'm sure of it. It was Cell. He was the one that killed me." As Krillin went along to tell him, well, you're fine now, and that's what matters. Goku's gonna teach that monster a lesson. As Trunks goes on to tell him, "Listen, Gohan, Cell is even more powerful than before. As things stand, I'm not certain even if Goku can defeat him alone. We need you." As Krillin went along to tell Trunks, "He's just been brought back to life. Are you kidding me? Have you completely lost your marbles? Even if what you're saying is true, we're not sending him back out there." As Trunks approaches Gohan and grabbing him by the shoulders, he then went along to tell him, "Gohan, it's not fair for me to ask you of this, but we need your power. You can feel what's happening down there, can't you?" With Gohan having to reply, "Cell, his power's growing, and Dad, no, he's fading fast. He can't take much more." As Krillin approached Piccolo, he then went along to ask him, "Piccolo, surely you don't agree with this? Say something!" With Piccolo then having to respond, "There is a reason that Gohan was brought back to life first. If we're going to make a difference in this battle, we need all the help that we can get. If Cell wins, we all die anyway." As Piccolo then continues, "I won't force you to stand up and fight with us. I refuse to be responsible for putting you in that situation again. However, I also agree with Trunks. We have to act quickly, Gohan. The decision is all yours. You must decide now. And back down on the ground, with the battle getting intense between Cell and Goku, the entire landscape is beginning to shake as Goku and Cell proceed to go head to head. And with Goku visibly having to be shown being tired, Cell then proceeds to touch back down as he looks over at Goku and stating, "This is pointless," with Goku visibly tired having to ask, "What?" There is something that Cell has up his sleeve that he is looking to reveal to Goku, as then he went along to tell him, "With every exchange, I can feel your power slipping away from you. I'm afraid you are no longer a challenge. I must commend you. You are truly the one on this worthless rock worth fighting." As eerily enough, only then Cell begins to put his hands together in the form of a Kamehameha. He then goes on to tell Goku, "Perhaps I will never face a challenge like this again. For that, you have my gratitude. Nevertheless, all good things must come to an end." As Cell begins to power up in charging up for his Kamehameha, he then goes on to tell Goku, "I shall grant you a warrior's death. You and this entire solar system will vanish, and I will live on as the mightiest in the universe." As only then Cell is looking to finish the battle against Goku. Goku understands this but is not backing down. As Goku also begins to charge up for his Kamehameha, he then went along to tell Cell, "I'll die before I ever let you get away with that. You won't kill anyone else. I'll end you right here." And with Cell calling Goku's bluff and laughing in his face, he then went along to tell him, "Oh, very well. Just one more paper wall to break through. Prepare to be erased, fool." And I love the visual behind Cell and Goku charging up, raising their powers to their absolute maximum, as this is it. This is going to determine literally everything, as at long last, Perfect Cell and Super Saiyan 2 Goku fire their own respective Kamehamehas at one another, as there's a massive beam collision having to be shown, just as we've seen in the original Dragon Ball Z show. With Goku having to struggle, Cell went along to tell him, "What's the matter, Goku? I thought you had more left than this." And with Goku struggling to maintain his power, he then went along to say to himself, "He's too strong. I can't keep this up. Is this really the end?" As immediately King Kai then contacts Goku by having to scream at him, "Goku, don't you dare give up, you hear me?" As Goku asks King Kai then goes on to tell Goku, "Goku, listen to me. If Cell is allowed to live, he will go on to terrorize the entire universe. You have to stop him here." As Goku responds, "King Kai, wait, that's it. That technique. I don't know how long my body can hold out, but this is the only option I have left." As sparks of red electricity is then beginning to be shown, Goku then goes on to state, "I don't care about the cost. I'll destroy him before he can hurt anyone else." As Goku then, while firing off his Kamehameha, then begins to channel the inner powers of Kaioken, as Goku then cries out, "Kaioken!" In a very similar fashion as to how we saw Goku initially use the Kaioken stacked on top of Super Saiyan against Pikkon, we are then introduced to Super Kaioken as Goku's pushing back the Kamehameha, with the Kamehameha then having to be shown favoring Goku. Cell then goes on to cry out, "Impossible! How is he generating so much power?" Because Cell now is beginning to fall behind, and with Goku using more and more and more of his powers into doing everything he could to push back, suddenly out of nowhere, Cell's Kamehameha is now breaking even. As Goku is shown shocked, he then goes on to ask, With Cell then having to comment, "The Kaioken, was it?" What a marvelous technique. And now, I will crush you with it. As to all of our surprise, Cell, overhearing Goku use the Kaioken, then begins to use the Kaioken for himself. And now we have a struggle between Kaioken Super Saiyan 2 Goku and Kaioken Super Perfect Cell. And with Goku shown struggling, he went along to comment, "This is all my fault. Everyone, I'm so sorry." As Cell is shown in a very beautiful fashion having to fire back the Kamehameha, he then went along to tell Goku, "This is the end for you, fool." As the Kamehameha then begins to overtake Goku, Cell is then shown laughing. He thinks that he's in control until out of nowhere, Cell begins to feel pressure come from behind. As he then slowly turns his head, he then goes on to ask, huh? And behind him, we see how everybody is firing off energy blasts, special beam cannons, Kamehamehas. The Z fighters are trying to hit Cell from behind, and Goku is still there, having to be shown pushing back Cell's Kamehameha until Gohan finally touches back down in assisting his father in using his Kamehameha to aid him. As Goku goes on to ask, Gohan! Gohan is then shown in Super Saiyan state having to fire back, and with everyone shown collectively firing off against Cell, it's virtually every single individual, Trunks, Piccolo, Krillin, Yamcha, Tien, Gohan, and Goku versus Kaioken Cell. And as Cell pushes back, holding himself back with a barrier, he then went along to cry out, "You weaklings need to be taught your place!" Because on one hand, he's pushing back against Goku and Gohan's Kamehameha, and on top of that, he's trying to shield himself from everyone else's attacks. As Cell then goes on to state, no matter how many of you gather, you are nothing in the face of the perfect being. Kaioken times 3! As Cell begins to raise the Kaioken even more, we then see how the sparks of electricity is beginning to knock everyone back, and Cell is now fully in control as he's now using a higher variation of Kaioken than Goku, and with Krillin, Piccolo, Trunks, Yamcha, Tien all shown having to hit the ground, Gohan went along to state, "It's not enough! Gohan, I'm so sorry. This is all my fault." As Gohan then goes on to reply, I can't. I won't let everyone down. Not again! As Gohan then, very similar to his father, is then shown channeling the anger within his heart, the pain of loss, knowing the fact that he had failed before. Gohan, just like his father, had then achieved Super Saiyan 2. And with Goku having to stare on, he went along to comment, "Gohan, your power, it's incredible. This is our chance." So then in a very, very beautiful shot, we see Super Saiyan 2 Kaioken Goku and Super Saiyan 2 Teen Gohan use their full power in blasting Cell with their strongest Kamehamehas. But even then, we see how somehow Cell is still in this fight. As the veins on his body grow thicker, Cell then goes on to state, "Insects, you are nothing compared to me. Kaioken times 4! But then, as Cell uses Kaioken times 4, very similar to how we've seen Goku use the Kaioken against Hit in the Universe 6 versus Universe 7 tournament, Cell's body is now beginning to break down. Why? Because he is not used to having Kaioken, let alone activating Kaioken times 4 for the very first time. So with Cell's body then beginning to break down, although he does have the edge in this fight, his body simply may not be enough to hold. As to Gohan and Goku's surprise, a massive energy blast is shown coming up from behind them, as this blast goes on to further assist Goku and Gohan's Kamehameha, which is added support in their efforts of further destroying Cell, and this blast originally came from none other than Super Saiyan Vegeta, in firing off a devastating final flash. And with Vegeta there, he went along to ask everyone, "What are you idiots gawking at? Do you want to kill him or not?" As Goku turns around, he goes on to acknowledge Vegeta by stating, "Vegeta, you've decided to take a Senzu Bean after all." And with Gohan then smiling, Cell is in trouble, because Cell then goes on to state, "Impossible! How is that fool still alive?" So Cell is now faced not only against Goku and Gohan's Kamehameha, but a full-powered Vegeta's Final Flash as well. As together, Kaioken Super Saiyan 2 Goku, full-powered Super Saiyan Vegeta, and full-powered Super Saiyan 2 Gohan unleash one of the most absolute beautiful final Kamehamehas I've ever seen. Collectively together, 3 of the most powerful Saiyans ever finally overtake Perfect Cell's perfect Kamehameha. As we then see how the final Kamehameha overtakes Cell entirely, Goku then looks on over as he went along to say to himself, well, I guess this is the end for me. Gohan, I'm so proud of you, son. Goodbye. And the reason why he is stating this is because his body cannot maintain this power for too long, as by the end, Perfect Cell is then shown having to be blown into smithereens, literally blown into an oblivion, having to be torn apart and literally coming down to the final cell in his body. The attack itself is so devastating that it eradicates every single cell inside of Perfect Cell's body. And with everything then having to settle, Gohan then went along to comment, I can't sense Cell's ki anymore. It's really over, Dad! We did it! We did it, Dad! But when Gohan looks on over, he sees something that brings tears to his eyes, because Gohan was not expecting to see what he had saw, and with Vegeta looking down from the canyon, he then went along to comment, Kakarot, you coward! And with Gohan having to shed tears down his face, he went along to cry out, no, Dad! And with Goku on the floor, bloody, beaten, lying there in his own blood, the only thing that we see from Goku aside from his broken body is a smile on his face, because we know that Goku at this point had put his life on the line to not only save his friends but his son. The narration then goes on to continue, the battle is over and Cell had been defeated, but at the cost of Goku's life. Gohan and the others take Goku's body back to the lookout, where they find Shenron still patiently waiting. As Gohan had been wished back prior, Shenron tells them that they only have one wish remaining. The Z Fighters use their remaining wish to resurrect all the people killed in Cell's rampage. Among those resurrected are Android 17 and 18. Goku had died as a result of his own actions, not those of Cell, and so his body remains lifeless. Dende advises that a wish could instead be made on Porunga to bring Goku back, but right at that moment, Goku communicates with the group from the other world. As Goku begins to speak, it becomes clear that he is sure of his decision. As Goku went along to comment, everyone, I think it's better if I remain here in the other world. My actions have put the planet and all of you at risk. The Earth has been in danger so many times over the past few years, and I realize that it's mostly been because of me. In disbelief, Gohan faces skywards and cries out, Dad, you gotta come back. We still need you here. As Goku utters a smile and responds, Gohan, I'm sorry for everything I've put you through, I truly am. But this is really for the best. The power you showed today was amazing. And I know that with you defending the Earth, it'll be safe. Maybe when the time is right, I'll come back. Until then, stay strong, son. As the narration continues, Gohan thinks for a moment and begins to smile. He thinks of fond memories with his father as he looks out into a sunlit ocean of clouds. As Gohan comes to terms with his father's decision and the responsibility that has been passed down to him, he makes a silent promise to himself as Gohan goes on to utter, I promise I will never fail again. The end. As the manga chapter special finally concludes, the story of Beyond Dragon Ball Z Rise has finally reached its conclusion. Now, right off the bat, I do want to say that this is hands down one of my top 10 favorite fan mangas created in this community, because it wasn't too long. This fan manga didn't really go 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 chapters, but it told a constant story. Everything was consistent, and especially for manga chapter number 4, the final chapter of this special, I really enjoyed the amount of time that Rising Fist actually put into coloring everything. I think that with all of these fan mangas having to be produced and made, we don't really see many of them that are so detailed when it comes to coloring, and I really think that the coloring made the manga itself pop out so much more. As I want to get your thoughts in the comment section below, and I want you guys to be honest with me right now. let me know, do you think that this story involving Goku and Gohan and everything that's played out in this manga chapter was better than the original, or do you guys still prefer the original Dragon Ball Z fight with Gohan and Cell versus this? I've often wondered if Cell could have used Kaioken, and the circumstance seeing the fact that Vegeta used the Final Flash to aid Goku's Kamehameha, to aid Gohan's Kamehameha, it was incredible. And I will say, the attention to detail to this manga was perfect, no pun intended, but I want to get your thoughts in the comment section below. What are your thoughts on the Beyond Dragon Ball Z story? What are your thoughts on Goku laying down his life to protect his son? I want to get your thoughts in the comment section below, as I do encourage you guys to also follow and support the creator. All his links will be located down below, and my personal message to Paul is that this was by far his best work, and I really do love not only the storytelling aspect, but also the level of detail, the colors, and the whole emotional feel that you get from seeing this manga. I want to get your thoughts in the comment section below, guys. Thank you all so much for watching. Thank you all so much for listening. If, of course, you guys are new to the channel, don't forget to go on ahead and smash that subscribe button, guys, and turn on all notifications to never miss a single upload. Also, if you guys enjoyed, be sure to give this video a big fat like by slapping that thumbs up button, guys. Tune back in for the next video. Thank you all so much once again, and I'll be seeing each and every single one of you guys down in the comment section below. Have a great day, everybody. Peace.
This is the Galactic Emperor of the Universe, and of course I'm here to tell you to subscribe to Unrelent Gaming.
Also follow Unrelent Gaming on these social media platforms to stay connected at all times. And if you don't, then very soon you will all be dead. Oh, did someone say Unrelent Gaming? Oh my god.
The fuck's up, on? Put on some clothes!
Well, why don't you put on any clothes?
What? I don't need clothes. Jesus Christ, that's huge! What, Broly?
Frieza.
Uh-oh.
Prepare to die!
But once you get video, lots of likes, or Bill will turn you into chocolate!
Vados, get over here! Tell these mortals that I'm the biggest Unrelent Gaming fan. This is my moment. I'm a part of his notification squad. Universe 7 can have all the fun. I just want the food.
And don't forget to leave a comment on this video. Show some love for the best community on YouTube.
Kakarot!